Hi Elvis fans, so I'm making this video in honour of the film Grease and Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta and how it affected my life as an 11-year-old Elvis fan. So it starts like this. In 1978, it was actually quite awkward to be an Elvis fan because many different types of music had taken over the pop world. So I don't like to admit this, but it was actually a bit embarrassing to be an Elvis fan, even though in my heart I was a very proud Elvis fan. And this film comes along, Grease, and it hasn't come to the UK yet, but the UK are talking about this film that's set in the 1950s with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John. And they had started releasing their singles, You're the One That I Want. And we were all listening to this new record and talking about this film. And we were told that it would be soon coming to the UK, but not to be played in our local towns. We had to go to the cities. And eventually it came to our city, Bristol City. So we all arranged to go and see it. And remember, as an Elvis fan who was into the rock and roll days and the 50s and 60s, this completely fitted my personality and who I was. And I couldn't believe this film that was a phenomenon was playing the types of music that I liked. Rock and roll, 50s and 60s, dressing in the way that I liked, having a quiff like I had, having my collar up like I did in this film. So all of a sudden it was cool to dress like the 50s. Let's listen to some of these interviews.
You know, there's been so much written about you since Saturday Night Fever opened, about being a star overnight. I think people are really interested to know just kind of how long it's been and kind of where you started, because you are from New York, right?
Yeah. And look how great John Travolta looks and how cool he looks. I love how his hair is and the t-shirt he's wearing. And remember, he probably would have been 28, 29 years old at the time of this interview. I think the interview was done for Grease Day TV special in the USA.
Yeah, I guess so. There's been a lot of question about whether it's sort of a new success, and really, I guess the fame part is. But I did started out in community theater and workshops, like when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. Then at 15 and 16, I went into New York City, and they had these things called trade papers, which listed auditions for summer stock and chorus calls and sometimes small parts. And often it was off-Broadway too, and I started in summer stock, and then I graduated to union summer stock, which was a big deal.
So I think he's basically saying to us how he got the part to play Danny Zuko. Let's keep listening.
Tell us, I mean, what happened with your association with Grease? It's been how many years? It's been about, what, 8 years almost?
Let's see, Grease opened on Broadway in 71, right, I think.
Yeah.
Or 72, was it?
I think 71, somewhere around there.
And I had seen it off-Broadway at the Eden Theater in New York, and it was like my favorite show.
Right.
And I desperately wanted to be in it. I asked if I could get an audition for Grease, and I did. And for the National Road Company, it was the first time, and I got that. I was called back about 5 times.
And you did your hair like this?
Did my hair like this, got in an outfit like this. I wanted it.
And now you're starring in the movie.
So I'm carrying on my story about Grease that's going to be aired in Bristol City. And we're all excited to get there. So me and all my 11-year-old friends, we get on the train, we travel to Bristol, and there is a massive queue around the block. The anticipation was a frenzy, and we queued up for ages and eventually got in, and boom, we know the starting song, Grease, which is just so famous and iconic now. And the film really did live up to the hype. From minute 1 till the minute it finished, I was in awe of every part of that film. Not just the settings and the way they dressed, but the songs, the coolness, the style of the movie, Just everything about it was a coming of age film for me, which opened up my interest in girls. I was only 11. Suddenly, I needed to dress cooler and be cooler. And I wanted to get shoes just like the ones that Danny Zuko was wearing. And this was a life-changing moment for me. And all of a sudden, Louis, 11-year-old Louis, was cool with his mates. Because I was the only one that had a quiff, that wore my clothes with a collar up. And I just suddenly was a bit hip with my mates, the rolled up jeans, etc. And all of a sudden, the girls liked me. I was the popular boy in school. At 11 years old, I had the best looking girlfriend. And all because Grease, the movie. So in these old clips of John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John arriving at Grease Day in the USA just after the premiere of the movie, I love it because it really shows them at their most youthful, and you can tell that John Travolta feels quite awkward and nervous, and I don't think he ever really liked the sort of fame he was receiving because he was hounded. But Olivia was different. She absolutely lapped it up, and it's rumoured that they actually even had an on-set affair. But you can see the fans, the frenzy, the excitement. And the very young-looking Olivia Newton-John, even though she was actually 28 at the time of filming, and John Travolta was 23, I can see they are overwhelmed by the success of this movie. This movie had become the most successful film ever made, overtaking The Sound of Music, and stayed successful to this day. Even now, Grease 1, the first Grease, is massively successful, and it cost $6 million to make, but made $366 million at the box office. So this really is a phenomenon that I think will endure for many, many decades. And my children absolutely love this film. But I give respect to this film because it transformed my life and made me cool again at school, to my friends and to the girls as an 11-year-old boy. Suddenly I could be proud again to be an Elvis fan, to love rock and roll, to love the 1950s as well as the 60s, to dress in my own way with my Elvis haircut and my 50s clothing. Everything was fine now because Grease had made it okay. So I hope you've enjoyed my story. I've loved telling it to you. Thanks everyone out there.